I welcome you all to this session on multivibrators, which is part of PDC U18 EC405. The outcomes of these topics are: first one is a learning outcome, analysis and design of multivibrators using BJTs. Second one is a course outcome, analyze and design multivibrators using BJT for various applications. Application in the sense, multivibrators do have a number of applications. In particularly, stable multivibrator can be used as a flip-flop, and a stable multivibrator used as a clock generator. We're going to see at the end of the discussion what are the applications multivibrators takes. And coming to the definition of the multivibrators, multivibrator is electronic circuits which generate a square wave or rectangular wave which employs regenerative feedback. Regenerative feedback means positive feedback which gives us A beta equals 1 and phase difference of 360 or 0 degrees. If you would like to classify the multivibrators can be classified in three ways based upon its stable states. If one stable state is there, it is termed as monostable multivibrator. If two stable states are there at the output, it is named as bistable multivibrator. Similarly, if no stable state is there, it is termed as astable multivibrator. Right? Monostable multivibrator means it's going to have only one stable state. Bistable means it's going to have only two stable states. Astable means it is going to have no stable state at all. Moving on, if you would like to convey the same information in the form of a diagram, first one is a astable multivibrator which doesn't require any triggering input to change the state from high to low or low to high. And coming to the monostable multivibrator, it requires a triggering to change from one state to another state. With monostable multivibrator to have only one stable state means this low output is a stable state of a monostable multivibrator. If you would like to change this state of low to high, we are supposed to give a triggering at the input of the monostable multivibrator. Similarly, for bistable multivibrator, we are going to have two stable states. First one is high, second one is low. In order to change from high to low, we are supposed to give triggering inputs at the two triggering inputs rather at the input of the bistable multivibrator. The backbone of all this discussion is in all these circuits we are going to have a transistor as a building block, right? Without transistor we cannot build these multivibrators. That's why we are going to talk about transistor, right? Transistor can be operated in three modes. First one is a cutoff region, second one is a linear region, third one is a saturation region. Cutoff region means output current is 0, output voltage will be high. Saturation region means current is maximum, output voltage is 0. If you would like to operate a transistor or BJT in the cutoff region, the base voltage is supposed to be 0.7 and output is supposed to be, as current is 0 through the collector resistor, output supposed to be high. If you would like to operate the transistor in saturation mode, if you would like to operate the transistor in cutoff mode, VB is supposed to be less than 0.7, as current is 0 through RC, output is high. If you would like to operate the same transistor in saturation mode, VB is supposed to be 0.7, as the current is maximum and the entire voltage will be dropped across the collector resistor, so output voltage will become 0. So we don't use a linear region, we don't operate the BJT in a linear region on all these multivibrator applications. Multivibrator applications uses the cutoff region and saturation region of the BJT. We don't talk about the linear region. Now let us simulate the circuit based upon a Circuit Safari app. There is a simple transistor switch which is simulated on Circuit Safari app. In the first screenshot, LED is off. In the second screenshot, LED is on. Everything is intact except the R2. R2 is nothing but a base resistor. In a left side screenshot, R2 value is 951 kilo ohms. In the right side screenshot, R2 value is 10 kilo ohms. Means in the first case, means left side case, R2 is unable to provide 0.7 voltage to a BJT. That's why LED is off. If the LED is off, current is 0. Output will become high at the collector. Right. Similarly, in the second case, the right side screenshot, R2 value is lowered to a 10 kilo ohm, right, which is providing 0.7 volts to a base of the transistor Q1. That's why current is flowing, LED is glowing. So throughout all the discussions, all the multivibrator discussions, we going to operate the transistor in either in cutoff region or in saturation region. In the first case, we are operating the transistor in a cutoff region. In the second case, we are operating the transistor in a saturation region. So based upon this technique, we are going to analyze the circuits of all three multivibrators. Now coming to the monostable multivibrator, which do have only one stable state and one quasi-stable state. This is a digital form of a monostable multivibrator. We can understand the operation of the monostable multivibrator using two NOR gates. NOR gate is nothing but a OR gate with inverted output. Means if you have the bubble at the output, OR gate will become NOR gate. If the input for the OR gate is 0 0, output will be high. If the input for the NOR gate is high, output will be low. Look at here carefully. We have two NOR gates, U1 and U2. In between two NOR gates, we have a high pass filter. Right? High pass filter. What this capacitor actually does is, if there is change at the output of U1, then only it will allow that state to a U2. Otherwise, it doesn't allow the state to U2 from U1, because capacitor allows the change. Capacitor allows the AC voltage. AC voltage means change. Right? Here, look at the RT. RT is connected to the positive voltage. So the same positive voltage is given to the U2. Two inputs are connected together and given to the second NOR gate. Means both the inputs for the second NOR gate is high. If both the inputs for the NOR gate is high, output is 0. So that low output or 0 output is given back to the U1 in the form of a feedback. Right? And one of the input is left free for us to change the states from high to low. So let us assume if the input is 0. If the input is 0, the output of U1 is going to be as input is one of the input is 0 and another input is 0, 0, 0. For 0, 0 inputs, NOR gate produces output, so output of U1 is 1. The same 1 will travel here, travel to U2, output is going to be 0. Right? So if the input is high, instead of taking the input as 0, if you take the input as 1, the output of first NOR gate is going to be 0. There would be no change. There is a change from 1 to 0. Earlier output of U1 is 1. Now output of U1 is 0. There is a change from 1 to 0. So high pass filter allows this change and gives as a input to the U1. Right? So output of U2 is going to be 1. So how much of time output of U1 is going to be 1 depends upon this R and C values. RC is nothing but a time constant. In this way, we can analyze a monostable multivibrator with using NOR gates. The same analogy will be applicable for transistorized monostable multivibrator. Right? If you look at the transistorized monostable multivibrator, we have used two transistors in cross coupled configuration. Means one output of one transistor is given to the input of the another transistor. See here, output of one transistor is given to the input of another transistor. Similarly, output of another transistor is given to the input of TR2. So, but there is a difference between these two circuits. This is not a symmetrical circuit. Symmetrical circuit means if you draw the line exactly at the center, if you have the same component count at the both the sides, that circuit is called as a symmetrical circuit. This is not a absolutely not a symmetrical circuit. Look at here. On the left side we have on TR1 side we have a capacitor, on TR2 side we don't have any capacitor. So this is completely unsymmetrical circuit. Initially we this TR1, if you look at the base of TR1, it is given with a high pass circuit and a diode. If you look at the base of TR2, it is given with a capacitor and resistor, right? As the resistor is connected to VCC, the same VCC, rather some part of VCC will connect to the TR2, base of the TR2. So that's why this transistor Q2 or TR2 will become on. If the transistor is on, if the TR2 is on, output is going to be 0. Why? Because it is acting, if transistor is on, it is operating, we are operating the transistor in a saturation mode. If it is in a saturation mode, output is 0. If the output is 0, Vout is 0, the same 0 volt is given to the base of the TR1, right? So TR1 is provided with a 0 volts, so output is high for TR1. Output is high for TR1. Now what exactly the output, the total output, or where exactly we are observing the output is at TR2. In this state output is 0. Output is 0. This entire thing, this diode IN4148 and capacitor and resistor R4 is consisting of a triggering circuit, right? We are not applied the triggering, right? Before the triggering, output is 0. Before the triggering, output is 0. Why? Because we are operating the transistor TR2 in saturation, TR1 in cutoff, right? So when and only when we apply the triggering, right, this is the triggering pulse which passes through the high pass filter, and there is a diode. High pass filter filters out the thing, and output of the high pass filter is going to be impulses at different instances, right? We have a impulses at this point, and these impulses, only positive impulses will be allowed to pass through IN4148. So we are going to have positive impulses at TR1. Once we apply the triggering pulse and remove, the positive voltage will be there at the TR1. That positive voltage will switch on the transistor T1. If transistor T1 is in saturation mode, output of TR1 is going to be 0. If the output of TR1 is 0, the capacitor starts discharging, right? Capacitor starts discharging to 0 volts, which is charged earlier. As voltage on the capacitor is changed suddenly from high to low, earlier TR1 is in cutoff mode, so it is in cutoff mode. Output of TR1 is high, so one end of the capacitor is provided with VCC, and now same capacitor end is provided with 0 volts, right? So capacitor is changed suddenly from, voltage on capacitor is changed suddenly from high to low. As the nature of the capacitor is, capacitor doesn't allow the sudden change in the input, sudden change in the voltage. That's why it generates a negative voltage on the opposite side to retain its voltage. So the transistor TR2 will be off. Why transistor TR2 will be off means, earlier before triggering transistor TR2 is on. Why this transistor 2 is on means, this we have got the positive voltage from the RT and it is given to the base. That's why transistor TR2 on. Now we have applied the triggering pulse. The triggering pulse is provided some positive voltage to the TR1. If positive voltage is provided to the TR1 goes into the saturation mode. If it is goes into the saturation mode, output will be 0. Earlier our output of TR1 is VCC, now output of TR1 is 0. So voltage on capacitor is changed suddenly. If the voltage on capacitor changes suddenly, it will doesn't allow that change, and in other way it will convey that change to the other plate. So earlier here we have VCC, now we have grounded this TR1. That's why capacitor generates a negative voltage. The negative voltage will be transferred to the base of the TR2 will be off, right? So if the TR2 will be off, output is going to be high, right? So output is going to be high, right? So as TR2 is in cutoff mode, output is supposed to be high. So how much amount of time output will be high means it depends upon RT and CT. As initially capacitor is charged, when we apply the triggering pulse, capacitor is started discharging, right? When we remove the triggering pulse, capacitor again charges, right? When that capacitor attains 0.7 volts, TR2 switches on again. So the stable state for monostable multivibrator is low state. It is going to be at the high state for some amount of time, which is determined by RT and CT. Fine. So that's why it is written, since RT provides positive voltage TR2, is on, then Vout is low initially. Vout is low. If triggering input is applied, TR1 will be on. If the triggering pulse is applied, TR1 will be on. CT discharges, Vout is 1. If CT discharges, TR1 is on, this is off. That's why output is high. Till at what amount of time? The status of high is not permanent. It depends upon the RC time constant. That's what I said, right? So till CT charges makes TR2 into the saturation, then output is 0. Now moving on, this is the output graph of this monostable multivibrator. When and only when triggering pulse is negative, triggering pulse is given, then only there would be a change at the output, right? Before the triggering output is 0. When triggering is applied, negative pulse triggering is applied, output is high. We can change the width of the high duration, right, by changing the R and C, right? That's what I written here. Initially output is low here, right? Output is low, which is nothing but a stable state. When negative pulse is applied at the output, output is changed to high for short duration determined by RT and CT. When and only when negative pulse is applied, then only output is changed from low to high. The duration of this high pulse is determined by RT and CT. Here R3 provides feedback path. Where is the R3? Look at here. This is the R3. Feedback path from TR to TR1, from collector of TR2 to TR1. Now moving on to the simulation part, right? We are going to simulate this circuit in a real time. This is the how we simulate using this website. This is the monostable multivibrator. Look at here. Here also we have two transistors, right, in a feedback path. Look at here. Resistor from collector of Q1 is connected to base of the Q2. In a similar manner, some part of voltage of Q2 is connected to Q1. So there is a feedback cross connection from output to the input and output to the input. So this is nothing but a monostable multivibrator. This arrangement is nothing but a triggering, external triggering. Now let us simulate this circuit and see. Before the simulation, let us observe the voltage at the collector of Q1 and collector of Q2. See here, the voltage at the collector is 45 millivolts. 45 millivolts is nothing but approximately 0, right? So 0 means this transistor is in on state. Let us confirm whether this Q1 is on or off by looking at the base voltage. Once again, right, this base voltage is 677 millivolts, means 0.67 volts. So base voltage is 0.67 and collector voltage is 0, approximately 0. So transistor Q1 is in on state, right? Triggering is not applied, transistor Q1 is in on state. In a similar fashion, let us look at the output of Q2. See here, output of Q2 is 5 volts. In a similar fashion, base voltage of Q2 is less than 0.6. So that's why this left side transistor is in off state, right side transistor is in on state. That's what we talked about in the theory also, right? Right side transistor will be on initially before triggering. The left side transistor will be off, right? Let us see what will happen if I apply the triggering for a moment. Let us run it. Right, this is the output before triggering. What we are getting, this is the output. We are getting low output, right? Let us apply the triggering for one moment and leave it, release it. See here, at the output of Q1, for some certain duration, output is high, right? This is what we have said in the theory also. When and only when triggering pulse is applied, output will change from low to high. That duration of high pulse is depends upon this 1 kilo ohm and 18 microfarad capacitor. Right? Once again you apply the triggering. Let us see. We have got the output here. Right? So the one thing we supposed to note here, right? No matter how many times once we apply the triggering, right, even you keep that triggering switch on, even then also we are going to have only one triggering pulse. Means we supposed to take care, we supposed to allow some time for the capacitor Q2 to switch between cutoff and saturation. Now going back to our discussion, when before triggering, the transistor Q1 is output of transistor Q1 is approximately 0. 45 millivolts means approximately 0. At the base, we have seen just now, at the base voltage is 0.67, right? At the other transistor which is in cutoff state, output is 5 volts and base voltage is 45 millivolts. So Q1 is in saturation mode. That's why output is low, right? This is entire values are before triggering. We have seen before triggering output is low. Now you just apply the triggering. If you apply the triggering, what will happen? The other transistor which is on the left hand side will switch on for a moment, right? That's why Q2 is on after applying the triggering. That's why VC2 is 22 millivolts, VB2 is 0.7 volts. So output we normally collect the output at VC1 always. Here also we have collected the output at VC1. That's why we have said output is low. Here also we will collect the output at VC1. Now output is 1.71, which is nothing but a more than 0. That's why we treat this as a high. Right. So after triggering, the state of monostable multivibrator is changed from low to high. Look at the output here. Before applying the triggering, output is 0. Right, the moment we apply the triggering pulse to the base of the left side transistor, output is changed from low to high. Right, this duration of high, it depends upon RC values. RNC value, RNC time constant, right? Once that time constant elapsed, it again comes back to the 0. That's what he said, right? Right in the beginning, when we're talking about the monostable multivibrator, it is going to have only one stable state. That stable state is nothing but 0, low level, right? So this high level is nothing but a quasi-stable state, which is nothing but a temporary. So initially output is low, which is nothing but a stable. When and only when we apply the triggering, the output is changed to a high state, then again is coming back to the stable state. Right, this is the analysis of the simulation. Now see here, this is what happened when we close the switch, when we applied the triggering for a moment. Earlier output is 0. The moment we applied the triggering, output is high, right? Output is high. Similarly, if you remove this triggering, that is nothing but a without triggering pulse, Q1 is on, Q2 is off. If the Q1 is on, output at Q1 is low, that's why output is low. So this is all about monostable multivibrator. Monostable multivibrator do have only one stable state and one quasi-stable state. Quasi means temporary. Look at here, this state, high state is very much temporary, right? It again comes back to the stable state, which is nothing but a low state here. Alright. Similarly, if you talk about bistable multivibrator, we have equated this. We have analyzed monostable multivibrator, this monostable multivibrator circuit with the help of a two input, two NOR gates. Similarly, we will analyze bistable multivibrator with this SR flip-flop. Look at here, there are two inputs, S and R, set and reset. There are two outputs, Q and Q bar. When and only when set value is 1, output is set to 1. When reset is 1, reset value is 1, output is reset to 0. Right? You remember this, when set value is set to 1, output is 1. When reset value is set to 1, output is reset to 0. Right? We supposed to have same type of truth table for bistable multivibrator. Bistable means two stable state, either it is low or high. Right? This is nothing but a bistable multivibrator. If you look at the bistable multivibrator using transistors, there is no capacitor at all. Right? We have two transistors and four resistors, two resistors in the collector path and two resistors in the base path, but there is no capacitor at all. Right? If there is no capacitor at all, the output duration, whether it is a high duration or low duration, will depend upon this switch time. Right? We're going to see in the simulation how what is the duration of the output. Right? This is one of the flavor of bistable multivibrator. This is nothing but a fixed bias binary. Bistable multivibrator also called as a flip-flop or binary. Right? So this bistable multivibrator is going to have two stable states. Two stable states means the output remains, if the output is high, the output remains at a high state forever. Means as long as this supply is there, output remains there itself. If the output is low, as long as triggering is applied, output will stay at low state itself. So that's why that is nothing but a two stable states and 0 quasi-stable state. Now let us analyze this circuit. This is a single pole double throw switch, right? Both the emitters are connected together and connected to ground. There is a switch, right? Either I can move this switch to the left hand side or right hand side. Let us assume this switch is closer to the left hand side. If the switch is on to the left hand side, as VB1 equals 0, right? I'm assuming this is a Q1 and this is a Q2. Left side transistor is a Q1, right side transistor is a Q2. When we apply the ground voltage, when we apply 0 volts to the base of the Q1, obviously base voltage is 0. If the base voltage is 0, transistor Q1 is in cutoff. The output of Q1, which is nothing but a VC1, is approximately VCC. If this voltage is VCC, which is nothing but a positive voltage, right? Here we have VCC, which is nothing but a positive voltage. The same VCC is given to the base via a resistor. So positive voltage given to the base of the Q2, right? So that positive voltage is, if that positive voltage is more than 0.7, this Q2, which is nothing but a right hand side transistor, is going to be on. If the right hand side transistor is going to be on, output is going to be 0. That is what is written here. First transistor TR1, left hand side transistor TR1 is in cutoff, right? That's why VC1 is VCC, right? If this is in cutoff, some positive voltage will be passed to TR, right hand side transistor, which is nothing but a TR2. So output is going to be 0. Left side transistor is in cutoff, right side transistor is in saturation, right? Left side output is high, right side output is low. That's what I written. If the switch is on, as VB1 is 0, TR1 is in cutoff. TR1 is cutoff. If it is in cutoff, output is high. If the output is high, some part of the positive voltage is passed to VB2. So VB2 is in saturation, output is 0. Now you move this switch to the right hand side. If the switch is on to the right hand side, as VB2 is 0, right? We are moving the switch to the right hand side. This is nothing but a VB2 right hand side transistor. We are naming as it 2. So VB2 is 0. This transistor, right hand side transistor, is in cutoff. So opposite transistor is in saturation. So the point here, the point we are supposed to remember is, if TR1 is on, if the left side transistor is on, right side transistor is off. If the right side transistor is on, left side transistor is off. So under no circumstances, under no situation, these two transistors are in, both are in off, both are in on. If one transistor is in on, another transistor will be off. If one transistor is on, another transistor will be off, right? That's what I written here. If TR1 is on, TR2 is off. If TR2 is on, TR1 is off, right? Let us see the simulation. This is nothing but a bistable multivibrator, which is using two transistors Q1 and Q2, right? 4 resistors, 1, 2, 3, 4 resistors. These resistors are triggering purpose, right? In that, as we said, there is no capacitor at all in the feedback path. Here also there is no capacitor at all in feedback path, right? As we have seen, this circuit is resembling SR flip-flop. How means, right? There are two outputs, first output and complement of that output and output bar. Similar fashion, there is a set input and a reset input. So what we can do for a SR flip-flop with a set input means, if the input is set, output supposed to be high, right? If the reset is 1, output supposed to be low. See here, let us measure the voltage on Q2. Voltage on Q2 is nothing but 78 millivolts. 78 millivolts means transistor Q2 is on. In a similar fashion, let us have a look at the base voltage. Base voltage is 0.7 volts. So we can easily conclude transistor Q2 is in saturation mode. Similarly, if you look at the base voltage of Q1, it is 38 millivolts, which is much less than 0.67. That's why this transistor Q1 is in cutoff state, right? Accordingly, output of transistor Q1 is high, which is nothing but approximately VCC. Now let us assume the triggering pulse. Let us run it and let us assume that let us give the triggering pulse. If I set this to 1, output supposed to be high, right? right? So look at the resemblance between these two circuits, right? We have a similarity between SR flip-flop and bistable multivibrator. Look at here, when set input is high, output is high. When reset input is high, output is low. That's what we're going to achieve here. When set input is high, output supposed to be low. Let us make it high. Output is high, right? In a similar fashion, before to that, let us see the voltages here, right? It is high means it's supposed to be approximately 5, fine. If it is high means transistor Q2 is supposed to be in cutoff, so VB base voltage supposed to be less than 0.7. Obviously it is 38 millivolts, less than 0.7. In a similar fashion, look at the base voltage for Q1, right? Base voltage for a Q1, which is nothing but a 0.7 volts, which is nothing. We can say transistor Q1 is operating in saturation mode. Output also approximately 0. So only when we apply the triggering impulse, when we make the set equals to 1, output equals to 1, which is nothing but a nature of the SR flip-flop. Similarly, if you make reset equals to 1, output supposed to be 0. Yes, we have made out with reset pin equals to 1, output is brought back to 0, right? So this can be explained in this way, right? When VB1 is low, Q1 is in cutoff, VC1 equals to VCC. If VC1 equals to VCC, VB2 is positive voltage, VC2 is 0, right? When VB2 is 0, Q2 is in cutoff, VC2 equals to VCC, VB1 at positive voltage, VC1 equals to 0. Right, here also we can observe this. If Q1 is on, Q2 is off. If Q2 is on, Q1 is off. Right, we have seen the voltages at different terminals, at the collector and base terminals of the each transistor. That's why we can conclude this. If Q1 is on, one transistor is on, other transistor is off. If Q2 is on, Q1 is off. Right. So initially, if you assume output of this bistable multivibrator is high, when we apply the triggering pulse, it become low. When and only when we apply the triggering pulse, output is changing, right? How to change this low output to high means, again we supposed to apply triggering. So we supposed to apply triggering 2 times here. If you would like to convert from high to low, we supposed to apply triggering. In a similar fashion, we supposed to apply triggering if I would like to change from low to high, right? This is what our circuit is. Initially output is low. Why? Because Q2 is on. We are operating Q2 in saturation mode, right? So that's if Q2 is on, because of the feedback, on means output is low means 0. The same 0 will appear here, which is nothing but a less than 0.7. That's why Q1 will be off, right? See the initial position, output is low. Now you set equals to 1 for some amount of time. Make set equals to 1. If you make set equals to 1, output will be 1. 1 is nothing but high, as in SR flip-flop. So high means Q2 is off, Q1 is on. Similarly, if you make reset equals to 1, Q2 will be on, Q1 will be off, which is nothing but an initial state. So this is all about bistable multivibrator. You are supposed to remember one point here. The output of bistable multivibrator is this. This is the output of the bistable multivibrator. As we don't use any capacitor in this circuit, either in this circuit or in a simulation circuit, we never used any capacitor here, right? So how to determine the width of the pulse is, as long as triggering pulse is applied, that much of amount of time output will stay at present output itself, right? Now let us talk about a stable multivibrator which do have no stable state and 2 quasi-stable states. Means output of a stable multivibrator doesn't remain at one state, rather it changes according to the as time proceeds, right? Means there is no stable state for the stable multivibrator. If at t equals 0, if the output is high, at t equals 0 plus, output may be low, right? Look at here, there is no triggering components here, right? Here we can see two transistors, here also it is cross coupled transistor, right? Two capacitors and four resistors and two LEDs. If you draw the line vertically at exactly center, right, the number of components on the left hand side equals number of components on the right hand side. That's why we can say this circuit is symmetrical circuit, right? If you observe carefully, there are capacitors in a feedback path, right? This is nothing but a feedback path. Feedback means output of Q2 is given to the input of Q1, output of Q1 is given to the input of Q2. So in a feedback path, this is the one of the feedback path, this is the other feedback path. In a feedback path we have a capacitors, right? We have a two capacitors, right? This LEDs L1 and L2 indicate the status of Q1 and status of Q2. If the Q2 is on, L2 will glow. If the Q1 is on, L1 will glow, right? Here in this circuit we have a enough amount of freedom to pick either Q1 is in saturation or Q2 is in saturation, right? But not both at the same time, right? What I'm trying to say is you can assume Q2 is on initially or Q1 is on initially. There is no problem at all. Why? Because it is a symmetrical circuit. Symmetrical means number of configuration components in the left hand side, number of components in configuration on the right hand side is absolutely same. That's why either of the transistor will be on. If the one transistor is on, another transistor obviously going to be off, right? Why two transistors are not in saturation at the same time means, look at here, we have two transistors, two different transistors, even the number of the transistors is same, like BC547, right? Beta of these two transistors is absolutely not identical, right? If the beta of the Q1 may be 500, if the beta of the Q2 may be 300, still we can use in this circuit with the two different betas. So as beta values are differing, right, we cannot expect both the transistors will be switched on at the same time, right? Apart from the indifference in betas, there would be a differences in these resistor values 47K, 470, 47K, 470, meaning that this 47K on the left hand side may not be equal to the 47K on the right hand side. So that's why only one of the transistor will be on at given amount of time. Let us assume Q1 is on, right? Let us see what will happen if the Q1 is on. If the Q1 is on, base to emitter voltage is 0.7, that's why it is written here. Base to emitter voltage is 0.7, so that 0.7 will be reflected here on the capacitor one end, right? If the Q1 is on, output is 0. If the output is 0, right, this LED one end is connected to the ground and another is connected to the supply through this resistor, so LED will glow. This glowing of LED indicates transistor is in saturation region or transistor is in on state, right? So if this transistor is on, obviously this transistor Q2 will be off. If the Q2 is off, current is approximately 0, right? Approximately 0. If the current is approximately 0, the approximately same amount of voltage will be reflected here, right? Instead of 9 we have taken 8 because of some drop across 470 and LED. Because of the reverse saturation current, some amount of voltage will be dropped across 470 and LED. That's why we have reduced this 9 volts to the 8 volts. So if you observe this capacitor, C2 capacitor, and at one end we have 0.7, at another end we have plus 8 volts. So voltage difference between these two is 7.3 volts. So capacitor is holding the voltage of 7.3 volts. Now if you look at the scenario of this C1, right, scenario of this C1, right, C1 is connected to, one end of the C1 is connected to ground, another end of the C1 is connected to the resistor, sorry, another end of the capacitor C1 is connected to the power supply through the resistor R2 47 kilo ohms, right. So in a simple sense, this is a positive voltage and it is flowing through R2 and through capacitor and is grounded. So this RC network is connected in between positive voltage of 9 and negative voltage of 9. So this capacitor charges slowly because R2 is much greater than R1, right. R2 is much greater than R1. If you look at the values here, this is the R1 value 47 ohms, this is the R2 value 47 kilo ohms. That's why R2 is much greater than R1. So what is the luxury we will get if R2 is much greater than R1? Means if R2 is greater than R1, this capacitor takes some amount of time to charge, right. Now this is the scenario. Capacitor C2 is charged up to 7.3 volts. Capacitor C1 is slowly discharging. Now as C1 attains 0.7 volts, now Q2 will be on, right. Q2 is on, right. Why Q2 will be on? In the sense, this capacitor is slowly charging here. Capacitor C1 is slowly charging. If this capacitor C1 is slowly charging, this capacitor has the chance to charge up to 0.7 volts. So when and only when this capacitor is charged to 0.7 volt, the same 0.7 volts is given to the base of the Q2. Now Q2 will be on. If the Q2 will be on, voltage on the right side of C2 is suddenly pulled down to 0, right. This is 0 volts. Earlier, look at here, earlier it is 8 volts. Now the same end is pulled to 0 volts. Now what this capacitor is supposed to do, expected to do, the voltage on capacitor does not change suddenly, right. Look at the voltage difference between these two. It is 7.3, right. It is 7.3, right. So we are forcing this capacitor, one end of the capacitor, to 0 volts. So what this capacitor is supposed to do is, it will take the same 7.3 and reflect at the one end. Look at the voltage difference here, 8 minus 0.7, 7.3. In a similar way, look at the difference here, 0 minus of minus 7.3, it is still 7.3. So here it is 7.3, here also it is 7.3. So capacitor is not changing its voltage within no time. So capacitor is going with the same voltage. But look at here, what will happen? This is a negative voltage. That negative voltage is given to the Q1. If the negative voltage is given to Q1, what will happen to the Q1, which is earlier on? Now will become off, right. Now it become off. Initially Q1 is on, now Q1 is off, right. Why Q1 is off? Because there is a negative voltage from C2, that's why Q1 is off, right. If the Q1 is off, L1 is off, right. As Q2 is on, L2 is on. So this process repeats, which process means, if you assume Q1 is on, this is 7.3 happening, that 7.3 is becoming minus 7.3 and same Q1 is becoming off, right. What will happen if the Q1 is off? Now this capacitor will hold minus 7.3 and it will switches off Q2. So this cycle repeats forever. That's why without triggering, the output of this unstable magnetic vibrator changes itself. So initially you assume Q1 is on. If the Q1 is on, output is low, right. Other transistor is on, off. If it is off, output is high. Right? Now let us talk about the Q1. Initially Q1 is on means output is 0, approximately 0. Now look at the base of the Q1, right, during this on time, right, when and only when base is positive, means 0.7, then only that particular transistor will be on, right? So if Q1 is on, Q2 is obviously off, right? How can we say Q2 is off? Means look at the voltage graph here. This is nothing but negative voltage. This negative voltage applied at the base of the Q2. That's why Q2 is off. Off means output is high, right? How much voltage we have seen there means, how much amount of negative voltage we have seen there means minus 7.3. Look at here. This is nothing but a minus 7.3. Minus 7.3 applied to the base of the one of the transistor. Minus 7.3 is applied to the base of the one transistor. That particular transistor will be off. Off means output is high, right? So this low voltage takes V saturation approximately 0 or 0.3. This high value is going to be plus VCC. Similarly, this is VB. VB is nothing but a 0.7 volts approximately. This negative positive is nothing but what we have seen is minus 7.3. So this is all about astable multivibrator, right? If you would like to simulate this astable multivibrator using online simulator, this is here we have. This is nothing but a astable multivibrator, right? Here we have 2 transistors, 2 capacitors and 4 resistors. There is no triggering circuit at all. Why? Because this circuit itself changes its states, right? That's why there is no stable state for this astable multivibrator. Let us assume one of the transistors is on, so voltage at Q2 is, collector of Q2 is high. High means this transistor is off. Look at the base voltage. Base voltage is less than 0.67. That's why Q2 is off. Look at the voltage at Q1. It is 0.66 and collector voltage is approximately 0. So in this case, at this instant, Q1 is on, Q2 is off, right? So if you look at the output, Q2 output is 5 volts. This is red color one is nothing but a Q2 output. Q1 output is absolutely 0. This is nothing but a Q1 output, right? This green color one is a Q1 output of Q1. Red color one is the output of Q2. As Q2 is off in cutoff region, output is high. As Q1 is operating in saturation, output is 0. That's why output is 0. Now look at here, same thing. Look at the same circuit in the perspective of capacitors. Here we have 2 capacitors, right? Voltage on capacitor C1 is negative. Look at here, it is nowhere near to the 0.67, right? Unless and until there is no 0.67 for the Q2 will be off. So look at this, Q2 is off. That's why output is high. In a similar fashion, look at the voltage on capacitor C2. This is nothing but a 0.67. 0.67 is more than enough to make Q1 into saturation mode. That's why Q1 is in saturation mode. Output is absolutely 0, right? Let us run it. This is the output we want to get, continuous square waves, right? Under no circumstances both the transistor are on. Look at the waveforms here. If one waveform is high, another waveform is low. That's why under no circumstances Q1 and Q2 both are on. If Q1 is on, Q2 will be off. If Q2 is on, Q1 will be off. This is how astable multivibrator works. Now going back to our discussion, this is the one of the situation of astable multivibrator. Q2's output is 0.65. Why? Because base voltage is much less, minus 0.35, much less than 0.67. That's why this transistor Q2 is in cutoff region, so Q2 is off, Q1 is on, right? Look at here, this is Q2, this is Q1. Q1 is Q2 is off. Why? Because base of the Q2 is being applied with a negative voltage, that's why it is off. If it is off, here we go to have 5 volts, that's why this capacitor charges, right? In a similar fashion, look at here, at the base we have a positive voltage 0.67, that's why Q1 is on. If the Q1 is on, this is connected to ground, collector is connected to ground. Why? Because it is operating in saturation mode, saturation mode, that's why it is 0. 0 means this capacitor is discharging. Now look at the second case. In the first case, in this case, Q2 is off, Q1 is on, right? C2 is charging, C1 is discharging. Right? In the second case, Q2 is on, Q1 is off, completely opposite of this, right? At Q1, at collector of Q1, collector voltage is 0, base voltage is 0.7, that's why Q1 is on. At Q2, collector voltage is 5 volts, base voltage is 0.7, that's why Q2 is off, right? Look at here, at the base this capacitor voltage is positive, that's why Q2 is on. At the base, this voltage is negative, that's why Q1 is off. Now this is the derivation of time period for a stable multivibrator. We know these capacitors are playing important role in determining this width of the pulse, right? This is the RC network, 10K and 10 microfarad, 10K and 10 microfarad is playing very important role in determining width of the pulse. So keeping that in mind, if you would like to determine time period of, which is nothing but a capital T, time period of this unstable multivibrator, we are supposed to go by voltage and capacitor formula. Voltage and capacitor formula is nothing but V final minus V initial multiplied by e power minus t by tau. So if you go on substituting these values, this is the thing what we are going to get. T equals 2 natural log of 2 R3 C2. Look at where is the R3 and C2. Look at this diagram, 47K and 10 microfarad, 10 nanofarad, sorry, 10 nanofarad and 47K. So this R, which is nothing but a connected to the base, and this capacitor plays very important role in determining width of the pulse. This is the width of the pulse. Width of the pulse is solely dependent upon 10K and 10 microfarad, 10K and 10 microfarad, right? Coming to the real-time applications of stable multivibrator, right? Stable multivibrator can be used as a flasher for Diwali. Look at here, this entire center part is nothing but a stable multivibrator, right? A stable multivibrator. Let us assume this T2 is on. If the T2 is on, voltage given to the T3, base of the T3 is 0. If it is 0, entire green color LEDs is going to be off. Similar argument is made for T1. If the T2 is off, T1 will be on. If T1 is on, base voltage at the T4 will be sufficient to drive T4 into a saturation. If it is drive into the saturation, all red color LEDs will glow, right? After some amount of time means the time is determined by R6 and C2, means 47 kilo ohms and 47 microfarad. After this time period, again status changes, right? Before T1 is on, now it will become off. T2 is off, now it will become on. So in the beginning, red one is on, red color LEDs are on, green color LEDs are off. Now after some time, these green color LEDs will on, red color will be off, right? This is a stable multivibrator. Center part is a stable multivibrator. These are These are T3 and T4 is acting as a switches. This is the first application of the stable multiple vibrator. Coming to the second application, this is nothing but a inverter application. Inverter means if there is a power shortage, you can get the voltage from the batteries. Battery here it is 12 volts, right? Q1 and Q2 is connected in a stable mode, right? These Q1 and Q2 is designed to have the frequency of 50 Hz, right? Value of R1 R2 are equal, R1 R2 are equal 10 ohms, R3 and R4 also equal, which is nothing but a 180 ohms, right? C1 and C2 values also equal, which is nothing but a 68 microfarad, right? In this application, transformer is used in a reverse action. Let us assume this is a 12-0-12 transformer. This is the primary winding, this is secondary winding. Normally we will apply the voltage at the primary winding, we will get the reduced voltage at the secondary winding, right? If it is 12-0-12, output is going to be 12-0-12 for this transformer. Unlike this, if you apply square wave for the secondary of the transformer, you're going to get amplified version of the square wave. I mean, if it is 12 volts at the secondary, primary will be 120 volts. So in either way, you can use the transistors. In either way, you can use the transformer, right? In the first case, transformer is acting as a step down transformer. In the second case, this transformer acting as a step up transformer, right? In the first case, we give the input to the primary. In the second case, we give the input to the secondary, right? These are differences between three multivibrators: astable multivibrator, monostable and bistable, right? Astable multivibrator, as we seen, there is no stable state at all, right? Monostable do have one stable state, bistable do have two stable state. Triggering is absolutely not required for a stable, it is required for both the monostable and bistable, right? Coming to the applications, it is used to generate a square wave, it is used as a timer, it is used as a flip-flop. We have seen SR flip-flop, right, as a bistable multivibrator, right? Quasi-stable states are 2, quasi-stable states are 1, no quasi-stable state, right? And now these are the problems for GATE and IES. If possible, try to solve these problems. This is the books referred to cover this topic. Okay, thank you.